Nickelodeon Studios was home of nearly 40 productions while operating at Universal Studios Florida, half of which being game shows. Some had larger impacts on TV as we know it, such as Legends or Double Dare. One of those was Nick Arcade. It was the first US-based TV show to ever incorporate virtual reality into the program. Add in a quirky host and video games and you have yourself a hit 90s game show. Nick Arcade premiered on January 4th, 2002 on Nickelodeon and was hosted by Phil Moore, who went on to become a regular Figure It Out panelist and the host of Year On. The show had two teams of two kids playing various games, answering questions and solving puzzles while trying to win different prizes and a trip inside the video zone. After a brief intro, Phil Moore came out on stage, followed by the first game of the show. Called Face Off, this segment had one of 8 games for one contestant from each of the two teams to play. Moore would briefly explain the game, then send the players off. The two players would start the game with Moore commentating over their actions. Once a team wins, the two are sent back to the podiums with the winning team having control of the game. Moore then welcomes both teams and finds out a bit more about each player. Following this, the announcer reveals the Mikey board of the day, 1 out of 11 possible themes. Moore then explains the main game with Mikey. The team in control may move him in one of 4 directions, up, down, left, or right. There are 4 types of spaces: points, puzzles, pop quizzes, and prizes. In addition, there are enemy spaces which send the control over to the other team, as well as the goal space which ends the round and earns the team in control 50 points. All questions in the first round are worth 25 points, and the team with the most points at the end of both rounds is sent into the video zone to try and defeat the day's video game wizard. If a team lands on a point space, they simply earn a number of points, either 25 or 50, and keep control of Mikey. For the pop quiz space, both teams are asked a question. If the team in control gets it right, they maintain control. When Mikey lands on a puzzle space, 1 of 11 video puzzles plays. This video puzzle is called Split Screen. It's basically a collage of the same image or video, but everything is really small because there's so many copies of it. And all the team has to do is guess what the thing in the video is, and they get 25 points and maintain control of Mikey. If they get it wrong, the control goes over to the other team. If the team in control lands on a prize space, they would get to keep that prize whether or not they win the show. They also maintained control of Mikey. And for the fun space, if the team landed on a video challenge space, which is included within the puzzle spaces, the team would be brought out to the other side of the stage. There, 5 arcade cabinets would be displayed, each with a different game. If a game had been played earlier, it would not be able to be chosen again and the lights would be dimmed on that game. The team then decides who would be playing the game and what game they are playing. They are then brought over to the chosen arcade cabinet and are told the Wizard's Challenge the player has to meet or beat within a time limit, usually within 30 seconds. The teammate not playing the game was allowed to bet some of their points, up to 25 points, whether they have any points or not, before the player started the challenge. The game is played, the bet is revealed, and then the team is sent back to the main set. This repeats until the end of the round, which sends Mikey directly to the goal space unless they reached it before then. This leaves the game in sudden death with a final question for the team to try and answer. The team that answers correctly is given 50 points and the goal for that first round. From here, all the spaces are revealed and the show goes to a commercial break. Coming back from the break, the show starts off with another face-off game. After the game is played, the team that wins gets 50 points and control of Mikey for that second round. Gameplay in this second round is near identical to the first, with the only changes being a new board with the same theming as the first round and spaces being worth 50 points instead of 25, and the goal space being worth 100. Once the winning team is decided, the losing team's consolation prizes are announced before the show is sent off for one last commercial break. Coming back from the break shows the winning team wearing protective gear. Moore gives them and the audience the rules. The team has 60 seconds to defeat all 3 levels to win all 3 prizes, 1 prize per round. He then goes over each level and prize that they may win. In addition, for each level they successfully pass, both teammates get $50. From here, he sends them into the video zone backstage and starts the team commentating while they play. Once the team runs out of time or defeats the wizard, they run back out and meet Moore as he congratulates them and signs off the show. Nick Arcade was in pre-production for nearly 16 months before the first episode was even shot. Being the first production to fully take place at the newly opened Nickelodeon Studios, there were pretty high hopes that it would succeed. Nick Arcade's producers had to design and program all of the hardware that would run the show themselves. So let's break down the main elements of the show. The face-off games had to have the arcade cabinet built as well as the games themselves programmed and tested. The Mikey boards had to be designed as well as the countless tiles that revealed the next segment after moving the character on the board. You then have said segment, which could be as simple as a question read by Moore or video that plays on screen. Another option could send the players over to the other side of the set for the video challenge area, where of course you needed 5 arcade cabinets, which would get recycled out with different games, different consoles, different everything in it. And don't get me started on the video zone. Over half of that soundstage was dedicated to those set pieces. 2 sets for 1-player games, 1 set for any top-down games, and 1 set for that final video game wizard level. And now that you've heard about the show and part of what it went into producing it, don't you want to just pull up an episode and watch? Well, good luck. Some YouTube channels have episodes, though they stay up anywhere from a few weeks, as short as a few hours before being blocked in the US or just worldwide. You could pick up the Nickelodeon Games and Sports DVD, but that only has one episode. iTunes and Amazon still has a few copies of some episodes, but it's not very much. Even so, there are still several episodes that are considered missing. Throughout the show's 87-episode run, even with an unaired pilot slowly circulating around YouTube, Nick Arcade engraved itself within Nickelodeon's history. It's not the first Nick game show that people remember, it's usually Legends, Guts, or Double Dare that take that spot. Nick Arcade simply sat in a league of its own. It was a show that helped people understand that video games are cool and it's more than okay to play them. And while Nickelodeon hasn't showed any public interest in making a Nick Arcade revival, that didn't stop the show's creators from trying their own. Spoiler, it didn't get picked up. Whether or not we ever get some form of the show in the future, we still have the original. It might not be as timeless as Double Dare, it might not have as pretty of a set as Legends, but the fact that Nick Arcade is still talked about and watched today stands to show just how much of an impact it had on those who grew up cheering on their team through the video zone. Speaking of, I think I left something back there. I'll see you in the next one. Isaac, signing off.